Maurice Jones-Drew, NFL Network analyst, the Rams radio color analyst as well. And his Twitter is at MJD. Mojo, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well, Dan. Sorry about yesterday, though. I feel like I left you hanging there.
It's okay. Were you ever late for a meeting in your career?
No.
How bad is it if you are?
I mean, you just get fined, and then you just try not to make it a habit. But to me, it's unprofessional. And I said I was going to be there, and I'm a man of my word. So I had a busy weekend and overslept a little bit. So
it's okay.
It was one of those things.
You have been there to answer the bell many, many, many times on this program. So thank you for apologizing, but you didn't need to. We're talking about Kyler Murray here, and I've been saying I just want to know one question. If I'm an NFL team or I'm the Oakland A's, tell me what you love to play, and if you got to be all in on whatever that is. But right now we don't know. Where do you think Kyler Murray ends up? Playing baseball or the NFL?
I think it's going to end up in the NFL. I feel like, from what I've read and what I've heard about him, that football is his first love and that he's a really good baseball player. But, I think football is a thing that he didn't think he would have an opportunity to play in the NFL. And, the league is kind of changing a little bit where you don't need to be 6'5", 6'4", 6'3" to play quarterback. If you have skill, the league will, find ways to utilize you and use your tools to their advantage and to your advantage. And so we've seen that with Lamar Jackson. We've seen that with some other guys as well, Russell Wilson being a shorter guy. But the kid can play. And at the end of the day, we're in the business of winning games. And he was a winner from what I heard in high school. He was a winner in college. So, it's kind of hard to say that he won't win in the NFL. And I think there's so many teams that are looking for quarterbacks that there's not going to be enough guys out there that you see a team go up and grab that number, whatever, or try to get up there or whatever it may be and find a way to get them and see what happens.
Yeah, I would be all in if I needed a quarterback but I don't know, the right situation for him. Like the Giants need a quarterback. I don't think that they would draft Kyler Murray. Jacksonville needs a quarterback, but I don't know if they would draft Kyler Murray. Denver needs a quarterback. John Elway, a former two-sport star, would they bring him in to run that kind of offense? So it has to be the right fit for him with the right head coach, right offensive coordinator. But I wonder if he finds out that the consensus is he's a second-round pick in the NFL, Mojo. Does that change how he views baseball and football?
For me personally, I wouldn't, because the second round pick is a beautiful thing, especially now with the new CBA. You only have to play 3 years, and you can get your second deal. You can hit the bank. You can get to the bank a little bit faster than obviously guys in the first that are in the first round because they have a 5th-year option. So if he believes in his ability and he does go to a team that thinks that he can use him, and then they kind of build it around him, similar to where you saw the Cleveland Browns build around Baker Mayfield this year. I think you could have a lot of success. He's a very, very talented athlete with a great arm, and he's accurate. And so with that being said, I mean, I get it. I'm going to be a little biased because he's on the shorter side, but I think that if you can find ways to get him going and to get him comfortable, you may have a guy that can be similar to Doug Flutie, that can change the game.
We're talking to Maurice Jones-Drew. He's the analyst for the NFL Network, former running back, and he does the color commentary for the Rams radio network. Speaking of the Rams, more important were for their offensive line or defensive line to be great against New Orleans?
I'm going to have to say defensive line. You have to find ways to stop the run. They did a great job against the Dallas Cowboys stopping the run, so you have to do that again. But then also you have to get to Drew Brees, and you saw Philadelphia did a really good job of affecting Drew Brees in both the coverage and with the rush, and so you have to be able to try to do some of those things and see if it works out. The offensive line, I think they had success the last time they played, but defensively they just didn't get to Drew Brees, and we just don't know how that game went. So going down into New Orleans, you want to make sure you take that crowd out of it, similar to what Philly did early in the game, and try to put up points. And if you're going to play in the Dome, you have to outscore New Orleans. You can't expect to keep them under 10 points or under 15 points or 14 points. You got to try to score and beat them in the high 20s, high 30s. So to me, it's the defensive line getting pressure on Drew Brees and forcing him to throw the ball in the coverage.
And I love the Rams running back situation. You got a superstar in Gurley and then a guy you got off the couch in C.J. Anderson. How does C.J. Anderson come in and do what he did in that game against a really good run defense?
Well, C.J. Anderson's a pro's pro, and I think we kind of take for what he's done for granted. He's an undrafted guy, but when Denver won their Super Bowl, let's remember Peyton Manning wasn't the best that year. He was banged up, couldn't really throw it as much as he wanted to, and so they ran the ball. Gary Kubiak, who's now we're hearing his name go around, and I think he's just signed with Minnesota, but they ran the ball and they played great defense, and so it was really interesting to see the way the Rams went about it, being able to score 30 points without throwing a touchdown pass, which is huge. So now what they're showing you, look, we can run the ball too with the best of them, and we can do certain things and play well. And what really happens is he's been in this system before because McVay is out of the Shanahan tree, where Gary Kubiak is out of the Shanahan tree. So it's probably similar terminology. You get him to come in. He's comfortable. He learned really quickly the offense. We saw that in the first game he played. But now you have two guys who are completely different in style. You have Todd Gurley, who's, like you said, the superstar, speed, puts his foot in the ground, can make you miss. Then you have this guy that comes in, and C.J. Anderson, that is going to be more of a mutter, what we like to call it, but a rugged running back who's going to run downhill and try to run you over. And so when you have two guys who can run the same scheme but with different running styles, it's hard on defenses to try to tackle and get prepared. And you saw C.J. Anderson wore that defense down, and then Todd Gurley was able to hit a couple big runs, and you got two guys over 100, and now you're in the championship game.
Yeah, CJ will join us coming up next hour. The Patriots are going to play up this underdog, oh, woe is me, nobody thinks we're any good. And as I've pointed out to this audience, New England was favored at home against a Charger team that came in with momentum and 12-4 on the year. If you're Kansas City, are you viewing the Patriots as this underdog or?
No, I mean, again, so I don't know how they can say that. I think I was the only one on our game day morning show to pick the Chargers. Everyone else picked the Patriots. And so, I get it. A couple people said you guys, kind of backed into the number 2 seed and all these things. And you got to have some momentum and you got to have something to make you wake up in the morning and get that extra set or rep in the weight room and make you want to study a little harder. And I mean, how much is an underdog when you won 5 Super Bowls?
I know.
Right?
I know.
Now, let me say this, though. I'll say this, and this is important because home field advantage has been a huge advantage here in the playoffs and throughout the season. The Patriots don't play that well on the road. So I per se, because it's the playoffs, I think the Patriots are completely different in the playoffs than they are in the regular season. But that is something that you have to look at because the Dallas Cowboys were a completely different team on the road than they were at home. So let's see if they're able to kind of get around that being on the road and find a way to go. And going to Kansas City is supposed to be cold, just like the Patriots like, and they can play their type of football and, do their things. But underdog role, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the GOAT, right? You can't be an underdog if you're the greatest of all time.
Let me go back to the Cowboys game, since you got to see it firsthand with the Rams. It feels like that offense hasn't evolved, Mojo. It just doesn't feel like it's 2019. What do you think of that offense?
Well, I'll say this: they were very creative in certain situations, but it's hard to kind of change your offense when you get a dynamic player like Amari Cooper in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
Now, I think you see in the offseason that Scott Linehan's going to kind of look around the league, see what other people are doing. Michael Gallup came up and, he kind of came up big in these last couple games. So he starts making plays. And now, okay, we have two receivers now, running back. We're probably going to try to look to find another tight end. And then we'll open it up. But the other thing is, too, they're catering to their quarterback. And their quarterback is he's really good when he's running around with the ball in his hands. And he can run and he can do those type of things. So I kind of do, like a relationship. And not every relationship's the same. But if it works for you, which it has as offense, so be it. Utilize it and try to be the best offense you can be. I think the Baltimore Ravens showed you that as well, that they were able to run, I don't know what we'd call it, a read option offense, a triple option offense, whatever you want to call it, and make it to the playoffs because it was different. And so how can Dallas, get creative, finding ways to get Dak comfortable in the pocket, throwing the ball, but also on the edge, running the ball, and getting the ball down the field to Amari Cooper and those wide receivers.
Good stuff, Mojo. We appreciate your time as always. Have fun this weekend. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. I'll see you guys later.
All right. Maurice Jones-Drew, NFL Network analyst, the Rams radio color analyst as well. Got lost on us yesterday and doesn't have to apologize. He's been there many, many years. I go back to the first time we met him. We were in Miami, and we were doing our radio show. And he showed up, no entourage, no one around him, no nothing. He just walked up. I think he had like a plaid shirt on, and he just said, "Hey, I'm here." And we're like, "Oh, okay. Hold on, we're in a commercial break." And he just walked up on the set and killed it. He's always been very good. He's not afraid. He's very, very entertaining. So good to have Mojo on.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.